Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Um, I wanted to talk about something regarding to my spirituality. Now, I wasn't planning to do a video this week at all because honestly, I wanted to give myself a break, from putting out different, things. But I guess it was time for me to just bring this out and maybe might help people like me who are empaths or psychic mediums. I mean, I personally never really talked about this with people out, in my normal world. Like I don't free flowing to people. Hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is, I really try not to do that. I am a very private person when it comes to, my spirituality. And so I just never really share, my experiences of, of being a child of God, but in a different level. Now, um, I personally, grew up in a home that, of course, I always talked about the dysfunctionality of, my life, but also was filled with religion. Now, I, I, as a child, was baptized Catholic, but never completed the steps of communion and all that stuff. Then eventually, my mom had me in different types of religions. So eventually, my mom had me attend like Pentecostal, and she was with that religion for many years. And I really never really gravitated with the religion because I just felt that wasn't me, so I wasn't exactly like thrilled with it. And I'm not, like throwing, stones at anybody in the Pentecostal community. But I'm just sharing how I felt. So I just like, that's not me. And so I kept like staying away from religion for a very long time. Until when I was 17, I was dealing with being depressed. And I just needed something, but I didn't know what it was. Until one day, my sisters was attending this church. Um, and so it was like German based church. So, they started going there through a mutual family member that she, introduced the people from the church to us. And so they were attending the church before I did. I was still going through the different, thoughts in my mind, processing myself. And I was still in a very low point in my life because, first of all, I was 17 years old. I was very, very much an outcast in many different ways, like in society and in school. I just never fit the norm with kids my age. And so I decided, well, I'll go to church, I'll attend this church, you know. So I wind up going to the church. I started liking, the environment because from a person coming from a crazy environment to go into a church that is very calm and very serene, it was a very drastic change for me. It was just like, whoa, wait a minute. It's quiet, it's calm, it's peaceful. So I gravitated to the church and I started attending, their services and stuff like that. And that's when I mentioned like a few videos back that I did a lot of singing. I did a lot of singing. um, with the church, you know. So I I joined, you know, the youth choir, joined the choirs of different types. So, you know, I was starting to feel some sort of stability in myself. Now, you know, I continue on, you know, throughout the years from 17 till 32 years of age of attending the church on and off because I wasn't like a faithful, like every day, you know, to the book. You know, I attended the church, you know, when I was able to. But then, you know, years later, I just stopped because then I started seeing things like there's more to what the Bible is saying to me. You know, like what is the scriptures? So I kept questioning. There's got to be more to life than what I'm hearing. There's got to be more to this, you know. So I kept questioning about my spirituality as a child of God. You know, it doesn't mean like I just was neglecting the church because I believe, personally, I believe, you know, if you attend to a church, actual building, or not, I feel that you always have to carry that church in your heart because just because the structure, you're not attending a physical structure, doesn't mean it makes you a heathen, a sinner. You know, I never believed that. As long as you carry yourself as a decent human being and, you know, try to do things with a lot of faith, a lot of love, you know, I don't think that just because you are not attending a building that makes you a sinner. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I personally, you know, yes, I don't attend services anymore. But at the end of the day, I know I'm a child of God because I carry that faith inside of me. And so I try to do is, you know, live a good life and try to be honest. And like I said, I am not 100% perfect. And I will never claim that I'm perfect. But I live each day trying to be as positive as I can and share my positivity, even sometimes through my darkness that I go through, to help others. So you know, I had stopped attending the church. I kept questioning about life. And then all these obstacles of life kept throwing my way, helping me grow as a better version of myself. Now, I honestly am going to say is this, that I always dealt like, it's hard for me to say this because it's really kind of like a little bit like out there. But I never realized that I had developed gifts as a teenager. I never knew. And I started seeing little instances of like things happening to me. Well, there's one particular thing that happened to me. Now, I would say I was 13. And at the time in the 80s, you know, I'm going to show my age right now. It's going to be like, oh my God. When I was 13, back in the day, in this living room where I'm sitting at, it's basically the apartment that my mom rented and I took over after she passed away. And right behind me used to be, you know, um, a section where we used to keep our record player. People who don't know what a record player is, basically it is like it was before CDs or any type of weird iPod or music device. Well, this was a thing that I can't even describe it anymore. It's a turntable that plays vinyl records. And so back in the day, I was a Dokken fan, and I'm still am. I still like my Dokken. And so I was here by myself, listening to. Back in the day, they had the album, um, back from the attack or back from attack or something like that. And there was one song in the record, Up Against the Wall or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while. And as I'm listening to the record, my first encounter in my apartment, it was kind of weird because I'm just sitting in the middle in the living room, like relaxing, and then suddenly in the middle of the record, the needle just got up, went on the side, and the machine just shut off. Like, nope, we're not listening to this. I was just kind of like, okay, what the hell happened? I got freaked out. I was just like, that was my first paranormal experience. So I was just like, oh no, what the hell just happened? So I just kind of freaked out. I was like, you know what? It's probably in my mind, I don't know, maybe the machine. So I just played it off. And by me doing that, I just shut off my gifts. I just like, I didn't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. Now, my gifts didn't kick in fully until I would say 2009. Because at that time, by then, I went through a lot with my marriage and my other relationships, and I was in a very dark place. And so I didn't really focus on anything else. I just didn't think about it. So 2009, I was slowly coming out of being depressed and sad and trying to get myself together. But at the same time, I had a lot on my plate because that's when my mom, she was going through her health issues, and her health was starting to decline. And I had a lot of issues going on personally also, and trying to get my mental stability going, like making sure that I stay focused on my goals. So my gifts didn't kick in until like the passing of my father. And I really was kind of like thrown off because I was not expecting it. And I could say is that it just snuck up on me. When my mom got the call from my father's wife to say that my father passed away, I already knew that. Because he came to me and said his goodbyes. And he mentioned to me about that I know how he feels, meaning that he knows that I know how he feels about me, because my father was never been a talker. He never expressed feelings. He kept a lot of emotional feelings towards himself because he probably was abused. I mean, I never really got a chance to know him through and through, but he was a very introverted man, filled with a lot of emotions that he never shared. But that was one of his last messages that he said to me, because I tend to get like dreams, and when those dreams come in, they usually are like messages that I get from, my father, or like he was trying to convey something through my dreams just to give me a message. And so that was one of the things he said to me, is that I, you know, I I want you to know that I know you know how I feel about you. And that was it. And so when my mother woke me up, it was 5 a.m. She goes to me, "Oh, your father passed away." And I told her, "I know." So that started the the cycle of my gifts evolving. Now, I really was not expecting to go through this, but then it kept evolving through the spirits around me, evolving and informing me that I need to start preparing for changes in my life. And I was just like, what? So they kept pushing me, like, you need to make your changes now. You need to start preparing. Changes are happening soon. You need to start preparing. And I never understood that. I never understood. I was like, okay, like I kind of was like kind of confused, like what's going on, but they kept telling me, you need to start preparing. So I was focusing on trying to work full time, which it wasn't happening. I was working really part time, and my hours were being constantly cut because, unfortunately, with the negativity of the world, they wanted, the person that had hired me, or was technically one of the managers, didn't like me because he saw that I saw things about him that he wasn't right. And so I was constantly being pushed to my breaking point, and I kept try to work because I needed the money, and then on top of that, the flexibility of the hours, that I could be able to be home for my mother and be home for my child, because at the time my younger son was still like 5 years old. So I didn't really have support from people to help me with him. So I was just like juggling back and forth, back and forth. But once things started to progress, I was just like, uh-oh, and I knew something was happening. I kept predicting my mother was going to leave me. Like, something kept telling me, you're running out of time. And every time my mom went into the hospital, my sisters, I kept informing my sisters, we're almost out of time. We're almost out of time of, having our mother. And all I kept saying is like, we need to start preparing, like every single time. And I kept getting myself together, getting, my financial situations together, and kept pushing it. But the thing is that I have, always kept the church in my heart. And I always lived a life that I could say, I'm not giving up. and I kept God close to me. And so my gifts kept evolving as my mom's health declined. Now I started experiencing a lot of paranormal activity before my mom passed away, because once my gifts started opening up, unfortunately, it starts attracting all these other entities to come into my world, my energy field. And unfortunately, I'm going to say is this: I'm an empath. I'm psychic, medium. You see, I don't like these labels. I really don't. But I think those are the categories I fall under. And so once I started, like, my gifts started evolving, unfortunately, I started attracting other entities to come into my world. And I started experiencing paranormal activity in the apartment during the time my mom was sick. And all I can remember is, like, I was getting ready. I got up 5 a.m., getting ready to get myself ready first, and then I get my son ready for school. And I was here in the living room, and in the hallway used to be a chest that we kept a chest in the hallway. And those entities were going nuts, like trying to get my attention, trying to talk to me. And they kept banging on the wood, on the chest wood, like they were trying to really get my attention. And I was just like so petrified. I was like, what the heck is going on? So I just didn't know. I just was like, no, I'm not playing around with this. No, 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 no. So I just shut down. But no matter how many times I shut down, I just couldn't, because my gifts were evolving pretty quick on that time. And so I just was like, okay, just deal with it, ignore it. And then, like, when it finally hit was when my mom passed away, and everything just fell into place. I had talked about how the process of her passing away on one of the videos that I did in dedication to my mom. But that's when I realized that, I am being guided in a certain way to help others. Now, unfortunately, we're having empath and psychic abilities has its own downturns, because no matter how many times you want to shut it off and want to disconnect, sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes the energy of it's ongoing. So I'm at this point in my life that I'm trying to work with my energies, but I'm trying to build some sort of like a barrier of sorts, just so I could, recuperate. Because when I'm dealing with people, unfortunately, people carry a lot of things onto themselves, a lot of negativity onto themselves. And so I'm very good at picking up the energies when it comes to people who are insincere or who want to do harm. Even genuine good people. And sometimes I pick up those pains that people carry in their hearts. And I will get those images of these people playing through my head, like, this is what they went through. This is what happened. This is why people are going through what they're going through. This is why, like, all these whys. And over time, it started consuming me to, like I'm learning to say, okay, I need to back off a bit. I need to back off a bit. But unfortunately, as of lately, it's been a little hard. And it has been very, very sad. Because I don't like seeing people's miseries. I don't like the idea of feeling other people's energies. And so I just am trying to learn how to build those protective barriers for myself. Because at the end of the day, I'm still a child of God, and I am going to protect myself because I have my own family to take care of. So I'm trying not to be as giving of myself for now until I understand how to work my gifts. But at the same time, obviously these are things that I have to use in some point in the future. Not sure why. but obviously I'm being evolved in a different way. So all I can say is that after my mom's passing, I kept questioning about life and death, questioning about what happens after life. And so all these things kept happening to me. Like I said, all these activities happening, like it was pretty much like an eye-opening experience. And I wound up doing a couple of years ago. I met some people, and I was invited to go ghost hunting. But I didn't realize the magnitude of impact it left me with that experience. And yes, there is a video out there of me doing that. I really was kind of curious in some level of my gifts, whether if I was going to pick up anything or not. And I did pick up the energies. And it left me, like it was like a rush. Yes, it was like an exciting rush. Like, oh wow, that was kind of exciting. That was kind of cool. But also at the same token, it left me thinking about those souls who are not resting. And I really was not, I just left it alone after that. I just wasn't focusing on that. But I always, had that inkling like, listen, there is more to this than meets the eye. So last year, this is a true story. I'm sharing my personal story on this. Is that last year, a friend of mine, she's a spiritualist, and she came over. I was having a little get together for my ex, who was about to go away. Like he was moving. He was leaving my life. But we always remain friends. And she kept saying to me, I can't leave your house until I really need to speak to one of your family members. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, I need to speak to one of your family members. I was like, okay. So when my family member showed up, the spiritualist, she says to me, I need you to get me a cup of water and I need you with me. I was like, okay. And for some reason, she was guided to help my family member, because my family member had energy attachments on her body. Now, when that happened, I had no idea. I knew something was wrong with my family member, because I kept seeing certain things happening, but I just never put two and two together, because I'm not that evolved in that level. And so I just was like, okay. But one thing for sure, what I did have is a lot of faith in God. So when the spiritualist started channeling and talking about that entity that was attached, at first I thought she was being a little cuckoo out there. I was just like it was so weird. My family member kept looking at me. I kept looking at my family member. I was just like, I didn't even know what to expect. And I was just like, okay, this is really, really off the charts. Little did I know that I had to help that process of removing an entity. Now, again, I am not evolved enough to do any type of thing like that, and I'm just standing there as an observer of what's going on. And when that entity was speaking, because that entity channeled into the spiritualist body, that entity was talking about, oh, I'm not leaving here, I am staying in this apartment. I was just like, oh no, we are not having this. I got mad because now it became a point of protecting my family, protecting my loved ones. And so I started praying really hard. I started calling the angels. I started to call the angel of death to escort that entity back to the realms they needed to be in. I did not stop praying, because at the end of the day, my family will be protected from any negativity that wants to attach themselves. And I came to realize that sometimes when these entities comes to me, when I experienced the entities back in the day, was that they wanted to be transferred. They wanted to be taken to the realms that they wanted to be at peace. That's when I knew that my gifts were being evolved for a different purpose. And when I experienced that event last year, I was just like, wow. And yes, that entity left my home. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm sharing this thought to anybody who are newly developing your gifts, or your gifts are being developed in a different way. To never entertain the dark side. Try to stay with the light. Keep the faith in God in your prayers. Because as of recently, the last 2 days, I came to realize that I was being under attack spiritually. I thought I was experiencing like I thought I was getting sick again, health wise. I first started experiencing the fatigue in my body. Then yesterday, I wind up having like my I started experiencing like dizziness, like constant dizziness, like I couldn't get it off of me. And what I did was I started saging my apartment. I saged my apartment. I turned on my candle. I started praying. Because that's when it hit me that I'm being attacked in a different way. And I'm not sure who is doing it. I'm not pointing fingers. But at the end of the day, I'm still a child of God. And that anybody that wants to do any harm towards me or towards my family, please best know that I'm reflecting all that right back to you, because I will not be touched. You know, I work very hard to maintain peace in my home. I work very hard to really, keep myself healthy. And those other entities that need help, eventually, when I'm a little stronger, then I will help transition those spirits to a better realm. Because obviously that has become, a thing for me, that I keep drawing these souls, these lost souls, and they are needing the guidance to be transitioned. And I do it little by little in my own time. But best be known, I will always work for the light. Because what I'm dealing with, I'm not doing black magic. I don't deal with black magic. Obviously, I'm being called for a reason, to help others, the living as well as the dead, to help them transition. It's helping me change a different perspective of what I'm here in this world to do. So all my young empaths out there who are discovering your gifts, always protect yourselves with prayer. I do a sage my home. Even add incense. And my incense I add is frankincense and myrrh. I even do occasionally a salt bath to cleanse whatever energies that is triggering my body and cleanse me. Because you know what? I will not be taken down. Because at the end of the day, the light will overcome the dark. So, and this is where I'm sharing is my spirituality these days. I was not planning to do this, but after the last 2 days of feeling all sorts of things, guess what? I'm feeling very refreshed, energized, because, again, prayers do work. Anyway, so this is it. I just wanted to share this. I'm sorry, seems a little too long, the video, but I just wanted to bring this out to people that, you know, anybody who's experiencing what I am experiencing in my life, because, you know, it's ongoing. I am sharing a little bit of knowledge to all my young empaths and psychics. Start learning how to build your protection around you, because at the end of the day, you are the light workers in this world. And, you know, each one of us have a mission to accomplish on this world, whether it's with the living or both sides or the dead. But you know, I am working for both. Anyway, so I will let you guys go. Thank you for viewing my content, and I hope to see you soon in my next video. Bye.